If there's one thing the Old Testament makes very clear, it's this: God fiercely protects those who honor and obey Him. Time and time again, we see Him stepping in to defend His people and shut down anyone who tries to destroy what He's building. No one learned this lesson harder than a man named Korah. His story is found in Numbers chapter 16. Korah wasn't just some random guy. He was a man from the tribe of Levi, a tribe chosen by God to carry out specific sacred duties in the tabernacle. Korah already had an important role in God's holy house, and because of that, he should have been a humble, grateful, and obedient servant of God. Instead, Korah chose a different path. The Bible says that Korah started challenging the sacred duties of Moses and Aaron, the two men whom God had appointed to perform the highest priestly duties in the tabernacle. You see, Moses, Aaron, and his sons were the only ones permitted by God to burn incense and perform other priestly rituals. These priestly roles were not political positions or jobs anyone could campaign for. They were divine appointments, given through God's command and sealed with His authority. Korah knew this. He understood the structure God had put in place, yet something dark began to grow in his heart. Instead of being grateful for his own honorable role in the tabernacle, he became fixated on what he was not allowed to do. Korah convinced himself that Moses and Aaron were only elevating themselves and that there was nothing special about them that made them worthy of these higher priestly duties. His resentment eventually boiled over, and he organized a full rebellion. Korah gathered about 250 influential leaders to go against Moses and Aaron, claiming the two were taking too much sacred responsibilities for themselves. Deep down, it wasn't just about fairness or inclusion. It was about pride and arrogance. Korah and his 250 followers threatened to take over the priestly duties entirely, demanding the right to burn incense and serve in the sacred roles that God had reserved for Moses and Aaron alone. By insisting on performing these sacred priestly duties, Korah and his followers were dangerously stepping into a role they had not been divinely appointed. Their desire wasn't about honoring God. It was about elevating themselves. So when Moses heard that Korah and the others were plotting to take over the priestly duties, he didn't argue or defend himself. The Bible says he fell face down before God. Moses knew this wasn't just a leadership dispute. It was a direct challenge to God Himself. With the guidance of God, Moses gave Korah and his followers a clear challenge that would settle the matter once and for all. Moses told them to come to the tent of the Lord the next day. Each man was to bring his own incense burner, place incense inside it, and burn the incense before the Lord. Moses told Korah and his followers that God Himself would reveal which incense was acceptable before His eyes. Moses was basically telling Korah and his followers, if you really think you're called to be priests, then go ahead and do what priests do, but just know that God Himself will respond. It was a clear challenge. No debate, no votes, no argument. The God of Israel would reveal who had the right to serve as priest. Yet Korah and his followers agreed, confident that they deserved the priesthood roles. They had no idea they were walking straight into their own judgment. The next day came, and Korah and his 250 rebels showed up, ready to prove a point. But what happened next looked like a scene straight out of a movie. As Korah and his followers stood defiantly with their censers, ready to burn incense and challenge Moses, the ground beneath them suddenly began to shake. Then, right before everyone's eyes, the earth split open. It didn't just form a crack. It tore wide apart, swallowing Korah, his entire household, all his possessions, and all the men who had joined him in the rebellion. The Bible says that in an instant they were all gone, buried alive as the earth closed over them. Everyone watching screamed and fled in terror, knowing they had just witnessed the terrifying judgment of God in its most direct form. Korah's downfall is a sobering reminder that when we treat the things of God with pride, rebellion, or entitlement, we place ourselves in dangerous territory. As believers, this story calls us to walk in reverence, to remember that fearing God isn't about being afraid of Him, but about honoring Him, respecting His appointed authority, and humbling ourselves before Him. We should not let jealousy and pride make us think we deserve more than what God has given us. Korah wasn't in any way overlooked. He already had a sacred responsibility to serve in God's house. But because someone else had a higher role, he became bitter, and that bitterness turned into rebellion and ultimately destruction. If you've learned something from this video, please give us a like and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Be blessed.